Hello, Virgo. Good morning. Hope everybody's doing well. I know that a lot of us are dealing with the change in time, especially here in the US. I know worldwide it doesn't always change except for a couple weeks now. But anyway, I hope one day we get rid of these time zone changes because it is just sort of discombobulating, right, when that happens. Welcome, Virgo, to your April reading. This can be used for your sun, rising, and moon signs. It can also be used on behalf of anyone in your life that you'd like to take a look at and understand what's going on. My readings function in such a way that you can also show up, especially for the beginning messages, even if you're not part of that sign, because I channel, I'm an intuitive. You're always welcome to show up. So it's good to see some friendly faces here and also some brand new ones. Welcome. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh, and let me talk a little bit about the way that I organize this reading. It has four main parts. The beginning portion is what I was just talking about, simply me working with spirit and bringing through messages that need to be heard at this moment in time. The next portion will be working with the cards, and basically I look at high points, any challenges, and then the little opportunities that you may or may not have known about as well. And I let it take on whatever flavor it wants to. So it's not specifically focused on relationships or work, which I know a lot of readings are here on YouTube. What I actually do then is I expand the forecast to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny right after that, because then that way everything kind of organically finds a way to come through when it needs to. And then we'll go into the soul path at the end and look at some things that pop up that deserve a little bit more attention. So every different reading is going to have a different soul path. And then we'll integrate those messages into a meditation. And then at the very end, we're going to take a look at one extra card. And this is something that I've been adding in for all signs this month. So if there's a question or a thing that you're kind of holding on to and wondering, what can I do about this? I don't take live questions, but I do pull an extra card at the end to answer that sort of silent question that you have. And so stick around, and that'll be something that I can help you with at that point. So there we go. Again, I'll be reading for April, but many of these messages may resonate right here and right now. Some of them may need a little bit more time, so feel free to come back to this reading if you'd like to. I always put it on replay right afterwards. Let me talk a little bit about how I work with Super Chat, and then let's get started. So if you like what you see here and you would like to show some support, there's a little button right by the smiley face. It's a $sign, and if you want to send a sticker or just say thank you, you can do that while I'm doing the reading. What it does for me is it allows me to continue to update my supplies and get new materials and just show up here, because this is my job. So if you like what you do, if you like what you see, then just share a little love, and I much appreciate it. You can also just hit like and subscribe. That's another way to give back that doesn't require anything but a couple of clicks, but it helps the channel and it helps discoverability. Thank you to my moderators for helping me hold this space and keeping everything organized today. And let's get started. All right. So today, as I was meditating on nature and figuring out how that would connect with your sign, what came through to me was kind of like the worker of the insect kingdom, if you will. And it was an ant, basically, and ants in general. I really like that picture of it. Sometimes it's weird to find some good photos of ants, but I love them because they're small, they're strong, and they're pretty darn persistent. And there's a lot of things that came through with respect to how they're going to kind of fit into the theme of this month for you. So there's your spirit totem, ants. The first thing that I thought about was strength, because I believe it's something like 10 times their body weight. Don't quote me, but it's a lot. So it might be a lot more than that, but they can take something that is very, very, very large, and it's just one little ant being able to hold that up. So you have this capacity to take on more in multiple parts of your life than maybe others realize, and also you. And one of the challenges this month is going to be, how can you basically bubble up or help others see that potential, that capacity? Of course, one of the key things that I would sort of say initially is that you internally have to believe it and have to see it. That's going to help, of course. And then persistence is also there. You can just show up and kind of show the strength, right? This is also emotional. It's not just physical, it's emotional as well. So if you've been dealing with a lot, if you've maybe experienced some loss, some challenges, and you're wondering, like, can I get through this? How can I get through this? I would say trust in your inner strength. Trust that you can. a big part of being able to change things and see things shift in your life is just to kind of like believe that it will happen. And that inner believing, that inner knowledge actually calls it into existence. We're going to talk about this in a second because there's some messages around manifestation that came through too for you. But just know this, what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling based on your totem this month is that emotionally and physically, you're going to be able to push through any sort of setbacks. The physical piece is important too, in case you've had some challenges with health. I know that with the change in how we work and live, especially with reduced physical activity, many of us may not be in the best shape and we may not be sort of happy with the way everything is. So just work on that. Work on just strengthening your body overall. A lot of this can just be with taking a walk, doing some yoga, nice, calm, easy ways of starting to stretch and move and change up the energy in your body. The reason being is because your physical body is a channel through which the spiritual energy comes through. So we need a strong body in order to be able to take on more energetically. Have faith in yourself and push onward because, as I said, you might surprise not just others, but yourself too. So set that bar high. I've been talking this month about the importance of not discounting something before it happens and not worrying so much about what others think. And the ant is an interesting insect because it's so community based. So I'm going to talk about this next, which is your capacity to work with others is key. But are you ready to lead? And are you also ready to perhaps sort of stand out or stick out of the crowd a little bit and have more visibility, or perhaps go against what people want? Because that's also important and intrinsic to your soul growth. So I guess the cool thing with this is that not only do you have the kind of inherent ability to partner up and to be a part of a collective, but there's a nudge this month to also figure out when, if, and how you want to diverge from that collective. One thing that I was thinking about, just kind of as I was looking in nature, sometimes if you see an ant that gets lost, can't find its way back to the colony, it kind of gets frantic, right? In fact, I remember a few days back, actually, when I was starting to think, why am I thinking of ants? Sometimes that ant will just kind of it won't go to sleep. It won't do anything. It just kind of keeps moving until it has no more energy. So it kind of gives up. And I would say you want to do the antithesis because you're human. And this is, I'm looking at positive and not so ideal things that come through with this insect. And I would say, I don't love that piece of it. I think that we are capable of working on our own too. So I think that inner understanding is important. And sometimes we do have that flight or fight sort of fear when we're alone, like, how am I going to do it? What's going to happen? And you go into this sort of spiraling thought process. I really believe that that's just fear stepping in. So at a certain point in life, especially the older you get to an age where parents and relatives and people in your life may not always be there because of age or distance or whatever, and you have to lean on yourself. This month, you're going to be able to do it. I see success, growth, and independence as playing key parts of that, though, and understanding that you can be independent and successful and grow, and you don't always need the, sometimes even the validation from people in your life, whether it's a boss, coworker, or parent. Sometimes we're looking for that. You can grow without validation. It just is then an understanding and a feeling within. And sometimes that's more valid than the validation from external sources. So this next quarter of 2021, as we step into the next 3 months or so, it's going to be about finding your way in and out of that sort of collective energy. I think the important thing also to think about as you're kind of volleying in and out of this collective is to figure out when and where you want to fight for something that matters. So peer pressure, or social norms, there's going to be some things where you may just not feel like that's you. So figure out where and when you want to voice your opinion and where you want to kind of decide, like, this is my stake in the ground. I want to go on this path. You may want to change your job, your major, or your current sort of purpose or focus. That's okay. It's like graduating. Like we have certain milestones that we set for ourselves, both in spirit and then also physically on this channel, because Free will is one of the cool things that we get to experience and play around with every single day. You chose to come here today, and I'm so happy you did. But every day you have a choice to do something, and that's just one example. What you want to listen to, what you want to eat, where you want to go, all of that. So every few years, sometimes every few months, we kind of have this wake-up call. All right, this is working, this is not working. I need to do more of this and less of that. So you're actually exactly where you need to be if you're feeling like the shift is happening. I was randomly, but not really, this was probably a synchronicity exactly for your sign, but I was listening to some videos the other night as I was just kind of clicking through and organizing stuff on my channel. I also see things pop up for me. And there was this interview with Oprah, and it was an old one. It was during the Wrinkle in Time series, and because I liked when the movie came out, because I liked the movie and I'm always curious what she has to say, I clicked on it, and she was talking about manifestation, and she's pretty good at it. And one of the things that she mentioned that I wanted to talk about today is meeting the vibration at its level. And so if you really feel like you're ready for something, and you can feel it and see it and hear it and just kind of think it's going to happen, but not need it so much, that's when you become sort of this master at manifestation, if you will. So meeting that vibration and feeling it and understanding that you're ready for it, I think is really key. Then you're going to be able to manifest it. So don't doubt yourself and don't focus on it every single day. This is one of the reasons, by the way, I don't do every reading about love. I'm helping you grow in different parts of your life so that love will come naturally. If you work on these things, we focus on it in the expanded forecast, and if it comes through, I will organically talk about it, but I wouldn't want to talk for 90 minutes about another person. So what we do here is kind of help you build and grow and repair and explore, and part of that can be, if you're looking for another person in your life, really focus on you. Really focus on how you feel. Are you ready? Do you feel the frequency of the other person already? If so, let it go. That once you kind of don't want it, it happens. All right. In fact, I need to kind of, we're going to jump ahead and then I'll jump back. So because I talked a little bit about relationships, no, it kind of fits here. So stick with me. 2 cards down, we're going to talk more about relationships. One thing that I wanted to also mention in between all of this was security, because this is going to help with the relationship piece. For those of you that have ever had ants invade your home, you know that they come in, they set up shop, and they're not going to leave for a while, right? So focus on security. Specifically, I mean, this can be your home, as easy as locking your door. It can be online passwords. But I also think this is more about self-confidence and how you feel about yourself. Because when there's a crack in the self-confidence, people start to come in like ants, and they're starting to try to find places where they can test you, where you're feeling a little less than, and then they're going to start to push at that. So you want to really have a solid foundation. As I was talking to, who's the last time I was reading for? Leo. When I was talking to Leo, I saw a house in disrepair, and we were talking about the cracks in the foundation. For you, this is really about confidence, right? And I feel like if you can feel good about yourself, you get this nice firm foundation. And then you're going to have those natural defenses, self-confidence, self-esteem, that will deter the low frequency kind of like barnacles and bottom feeder energy that will come into your life. Anything or anyone that's opportunistic is going to naturally kind of hit the wall and go somewhere else. Just like the little ants trying to find a way in, they're going to go to some other house or some other crevice where they can kind of set up shop. So really focus on the self-confidence piece. And it's not about being inflated or anything. It's really just seeing your self-worth and celebrating the self-worth and trusting in it, and not, again, needing external validation for it. So 2020, the one beautiful thing that I think it taught many of us was to love our own company. Not in a weird way, but just understanding like, hey, I'm happy with who I am, or I'm capable of doing more. Maybe I can cook more than I thought I could do, or do different things and work in different ways and survive this crazy year. 2021 is reminding you not to maybe rush back into distraction, because you want to finish up the work that you started. This is a year that we're kind of graduating from that lesson. And I think the sooner we graduate, the sooner then that the whole world is going to get into a better place. When you stop wanting or needing others or anything in your life, it actually starts rushing in. And if you can kind of playfully think about what it is that you're trying to create, and then just think like, yeah, I like it, but I don't need it. I want it, but I don't need it, and I'm going to change and focus on something else. Snap, something starts to happen. It usually you're going to attract higher frequency opportunities when you do this as well. And understand the power of speaking something into existence or thinking it into existence. I had a really interesting experience yesterday where I was looking for a particular opportunity to arise, and I was talking to someone, and I hung up the phone, and then I got an email exactly paralleling what I was looking at, based on sort of like a referral or whatever. So I thought, see, if I think it, say it, do it, let it go, and kind of focus on walking the dog, all of a sudden I got an email really quickly. And that reminded me of the power of just thinking, this is how I want to do it. This is how I want to work. This is something that I want to create. And so whatever it is you're trying to do, just feel it and say, this is it. I really feel like this is it. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I think it's going to happen soon. And that's great. Then it kind of lets the universe say, actually, we know exactly how it's going to happen. Here you go. So that's an example of how you can manifest. Think it, feel it, and then kind of let it go. Release is going to be a big theme if you haven't picked up on it, Virgo. Like kind of identifying and then releasing, identifying and releasing. So release the need to be perfect for those of you that are perfectionists. I think I put it in the next one, especially artists. You're kind of like a work in progress, and it's not about perfection. It's about evolving. It's about revising. It's about continuing to persevere. And at a certain point, like, do the best that you can and then let it go. This is for my artist type, and just anyone in general who has done the work but is holding on to something or someone. Once you've kind of learned what you need at that point, it's good. You can let it go. So for those of you working on a thesis, or if you've written a book like I have, or if you've created a painting, or if you've worked on a house, or if you're doing some sort of certification, whatever it is, at a certain point, the requisite amount of work has completed. And it's sort of like, why are you still sitting in that energy? It's usually just a fear of the unknown or putting it to practice, right? But I'm telling you, it'll be okay. And it'll be more fun once you start to kind of just let things flow. Relationships, of course, are mirrors. Use what you see and to start to learn and grow. So if there's someone in your life that is driving you crazy, look at what is driving, what it is about them that drives you crazy, and think to yourself, is there anything that I've done to call that in? Why do I feel so triggered? Is there anything that I could do to maybe transmute that energy with them? So if it's jealousy, again, it would be maybe just celebrating the success of others. If the person is jealous, if the person doesn't understand boundaries, it's about saying no. It's about observing other people's boundaries. If it's them taking advantage of your time, energy, or resources, it's really about standing up and making sure also in your own life that you're giving extra, and you're sort of like doing what you need to pay it forward. So once you start to make these improvements, I wouldn't be surprised if you notice that these relationships change. I've seen it happen where someone that you thought you hated, you end up really liking, or someone that you liked, you see things that, all of a sudden it changes. As you start to change, the view that you have on the world starts to shift. So some of these relationships are going to flourish around you and others will fall away. That's not only healthy, but it's showing that you're working and growing. You don't have to keep that same group of people that you had when you were 15 or 25 or 55. As you start to get older and move through your life, you all change, and things start to that were important are no longer important. And so just know that, and know that this is a natural course. And sometimes it gets, I feel I can hear it in friends and family. They get sad when they think of like, oh, I lost touch with this person, or this family member isn't caring or thinking about me. And I would say, well, focus on connecting with some other people that do, because that's clearly someone that it's kind of like they put up a brick wall, and just like the ant, you're going to go in another direction. Because if you're getting consistently blocked at one place, that's a message, even if it's not a verbal one. This is so nice and so powerful, and it was a really nice message from the guides at the end. And then we're going to get into the reading the cards here. There was a phrase that hit my head, and I'm like, it's too every day. It's been used too much. Like when one door closes, another one opens. I thought to myself, not powerful enough. And also you hear it and you're like, yeah, I've heard it. So the message that my guides did as an upgrade to the message was, you are the architect. If a door closes, create a new one. Don't sit around and wait for somebody else to open that door. You have the capacity to always make your own direction and carve out a new path. This is the difference between like an entrepreneur and someone who's just complaining about the boss and worrying about things. So I'm encouraging you guys to be a little bit more outspoken. If you're in a path and you want to change it, you could stay in that collective group and say, but no, I want to be a manager or a leader. You could decide that I don't want to be a part of this. I want to do my own thing. Or you could find an independent sort of energy in another group culture, et cetera, that sort of like is in that same frequency as you. But this is really saying go active, not passive when it comes to blocks in your life. And that's so much better. I complain a lot about the Three of Wands and some of the cards where they're waiting for things. I'm like, stop waiting, go do it. Be more active. And that's what I think is really important with this one. So if the door closed, either knock it down, go through the glass ceiling, or knock another hole through another wall and say, fine, I'm going to find another way to get this done. You're the architect. And sometimes it requires changing the structure. I know I'm being sort of crazy with the imagery, but not really. When you think of redecorating, or like what there was a trend maybe 10 years ago to do open sort of environments and houses and everything. So they would knock walls down so you could see a space differently. So you need to do the same thing in your own life, kind of like, punch a hole through something energetically so you can start to see a new path, right? So never wait for another door to open and create your own. It's kind of very matrixy here too. So you're the architect here, but not like that guy. It's sort of more like the key guy. He could open any door. So just imagine here that you have the power to do the two-in-one sort of thing, which is you see a wall and you find a way to get through that. So there's the magic there because you have to imagine the path where you're headed and how to do it. But that's what's fun. Speaking from experience, I'm much happier doing things on my own than when I was sitting in a corporate environment, because you just couldn't always break through. There was so much rigidity. It very much reminded me of like an ant colony where you had to file in and do what they said. And we experienced this in relationships, in families, in cultural and governmental sort of organizations. So that the metaphor works almost anywhere. And I think that for some of us, there's just a question now of how can I get into something that's a little bit more open, a little bit more inviting, and allows my energy to really be more readily used, I would say too. Okay. Let's take a look at the cards here, and we're going to go a little bit deeper into the opportunities for this month. And like I said, this center portion is going to take on whatever sort of energy it needs to, and then we're going to expand it to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. Quick programming note, I will be doing a collective reading on the 28th. Everybody's welcome to join me. It'll be on a Sunday, same time. So I hope to see you there. All right, at this point, I'm going to remain quiet as I pull the cards, but I'll be right back in just a moment. Welcome, everybody, by the way. right, everyone. Thank you for giving me a moment to get everything set up here. And let's talk about your catalyst first. And the catalyst functions as a way for you to stay in that high frequency, to avoid any distractions, and get things started, just like the name implies. The card here is this beautiful flower here. I'm using a floral deck, Camellia, I believe you would say. And then it says destiny. It's not in the stars to hold our destiny, but in ourselves. Amen. That's the architect note that I was just talking about. So if you want to make something happen or make something change, you've got to take some action. You've got to do it yourself, right? So my question for you is, what's holding you back? For each of us, it could be something different. It could be fear, it could be resources, it could be some sort of prior commitment. There's a lot of legitimate reasons it could be kind of holding you back. And then remember what I was talking about with the architect, that or like being able to just sort of like energetically punch through something and say, all right, I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to somehow call this in or breathe this into existence. So destiny, this is how I view my destiny card. So we're going to look at the destiny card in tandem with it. We've got this beautiful warrior here, and it says, be fearless and stand strong. So if there's something that you truly want to create, again, it's up to you to honor that, breathe life into it, and realize that you are the author, the writer, the director, the creator of your destiny, basically. So hopefully this inspires you to do something cool. We're going to look at the rest of the cards, and we'll periodically go back to that one as needed. Let me just take a quick drink, and we'll go to the center. Your center card is the Six of Cups, which, as you can see here, can be friends, family, loyalty, can also be the inner child. We're looking at this, and you see this guy's memory of, it's like him and the puppy as a kid, right? So one thing with the Six of Cups is there's this playful, sort of youthful energy that we lose track of when we get older. We get too serious, we get too focused, and we forget that there should be something playful, fun, inviting, engaging, etc. about whatever it is that you're doing. If the work or the relationship feels like it's just a job or it's work, then it's no longer kind of serving a larger purpose. It's like a security or a resource. So in a relationship, I would say getting back to that playful, loyal, fun sort of energy that we see in the Six of Cups. And in a work or other sort of relationship, it's really about figuring out how to find something enjoyable about it. What sparked your interest in immediately at the beginning? If you're looking for a love in your life, this is a great card. This is usually something that I would see for a deep soul connection. I kind of cautiously use the word soulmate. So I would say instead, this would be like a divine partner, someone that really is on that same resonance that you are, that's done the work. And it's like meeting an old friend. It's like, having fun again. So I like what I'm seeing with this. I feel like the opportunity this month is to somehow get into the sort of deep friendship that you see here. Some of you might have lost some of that over the past year or so. This could also be about remembering that that's within you. You have to see the beauty within you for others to see that as well, to call it in. But I like it. It's a very attractive card. To me, this is even more powerful than the Lover's card on some levels, even though it's a minor arcana, because it's really, really high resonance. So right now, if you are trying to attract, I like the Six of Cups at the center. Attract work, attract love, attract an opportunity. And we have the Manifestation card, one of the two. The High Priestess is a little bit more powerful, but I'll take the Magician. The Magician sometimes is trying to do too many things. So I would say really focus on the intent, because you want, and I would say be careful on how you state something. With the Magician versus the High Priestess, sometimes the Magician would simply say, I want such and such now. But the High Priestess would be very specific on what it was. So instead of saying like, send me a partner, she would say, send me a partner that is available, that is this, and I know it's going to happen and I'm not going to fixate on it, and I've got other work to do. So the Magician would just keep kind of like fixating perhaps, and but not being specific enough. So I would say, get very specific on what you want to manifest, release it, and then let it go. As a different sort of aspect of your personality, the Magician tells me that you have the capacity to wear many hats and do anything that you put your mind to, if you decide that you can do it. Magic only works if you believe it. So the Magician needs you to believe in your own magic. So do you believe? I hope you do. I wrote in my book that magic is a new truth waiting to be discovered. So instead of thinking it as some sort of weird, outlandish thing, think of it as something powerful, sacred, and a divine right. And that once you kind of get solid in it, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm totally capable of this. You start to call in people that believe that as well. It will help you get a raise at work. It'll help you get a better relationship. It'll help you fix things. It's a powerful card, but it requires belief. So my rhetorical question, and it's sort of like a homework question for you, is do you believe? And if you don't believe, what's holding you back from that? What's causing the disbelief within? That's your key focus, I would say, at the beginning of the month. It's right there at the center. Looking at past, deep past, and recent past influences, which probably resonate in the here and the now if you're watching me live. We have the structural and hierarchical Hierophant, and that's kind of the colony that I was picking up on with the ants, right? There are worker bees and worker ants and drones and things like that. And there's a couple I can think of 2 or 3 different types of insects out there that do that. But with the ant kingdom, you have a queen, you have workers, you have the sort of warrior ants as well. So the thing is here, you don't have to be one of those. You can be all of those things. So sometimes we're protective of what we're working on. Sometimes we're open and we're very kind of like inviting. Sometimes we're the queen, we're creative, we're embarking on something new. So wear whatever hat you need to get the job done, but break out of this sort of thing where it's like, well, I got this degree, or I grew up in this family, or I have this experience, so that I can only do this. Nah, you can do other things. It may take a little bit more time to get some of that stuff done, but absolutely not. You can break through the structure, and that's what we're supposed to be doing now. In this particular century, we're supposed to be kind of confounding the old way, the old school thinking. We have the 4 of Wands here. You got a lot of great relationship energy this month. The 4 of Wands is reversed. So for some of you, I'm looking at her tambourine there, and I'm looking at the beautiful dance. Again, it's sort of like, are you dancing out of step, or speaking out of step, or doing something just like a little too soon or a little too late? I'm looking at the timing of this card because it was reversed. Upright, I would say, rock on, you're doing a great job. Reversed, it seems like the timing is off, but that doesn't mean you should stop something. I think it means tune in to the people around you, because there's a right and a wrong time to have certain types of conversations. There could be a right and a wrong time to pitch an idea. And sometimes, you know, the boats may have crossed differently in, the paths in the night, but you be able to sort of come together this time. So what I'm seeing is trust. If the timing is meant to happen, it will happen. And if something didn't happen before, that doesn't mean that it's always going to be stuck. And now focus also on really reading the room and figuring out, are they ready to hear what I have to say? You may have to do it on your own, but you might find that some people later will want to join back in again. I think this is very much like the 8 of Cups. If you hit some sort of you distracted yourself, or you had a little bit of a setback, this isn't a full stop. It's more kind of like a semicolon. I like to say, you had a pause, you had to stop, but the story isn't finished. You got to finish that. The sentence isn't finished. So figure out what to do with this energy next. If you're trying to find love, there's something here that you have to explore a little bit. There's a relationship maybe where you didn't. Usually it can be friendship. It can also be marriage. It's a tricky card. So there could be something where there was a person in your life and you just feel like you have unfinished business. You want to explore that relationship a little bit more. You could have lost a friend in your life, maybe not to sort of like them passing, but maybe a fallout from an argument or something like that. And you want to try to regroup and figure out, is there anything left there? So I think you owe it to yourself based on what I see here with these 2 cards. This is a deep friendship, and there's a yearning to kind of reconnect, figure out what it's all about, why you're focusing on that, and then decide what you're going to do about it, because the power sits with you on that. And the person may be waiting for you as well. 4 of Wands overall is very good. So you combine the 6 of Cups and the 4 of Wands. That tells me that you are ready. You are primed to pull in some really great partnerships. You can decide what kind of partnerships you want. Again, business or love, but I see some good partnerships right at the front here. If you're looking for work, which I know many of you will be doing because we're still in a sort of weird economy and the pandemic has not completely, it's coming back in some places. And, we're seeing ups and downs as we have in the past 15 months or so. Lean on your network. Talk to people in your life that you already know. It's going to be people that you know that can really open up the key opportunities for you. You are loved, you are supported. That's also a part of that. Page of Wands, reversed in the crowning position. I love the Page of Wands. I also love that they use the divine feminine energy in this particular page. But what I'd like to say with this is with kind of dancing to the beat of your own drum, and sometimes not second guessing yourself. With intuition, it's so easy to overthink, and Wands reverse can be going into overly revising something or overly doubting something. And I would say trust the initial, when I say download, it's the initial intuitive piece of information that you get. So trust that initial download, and then also stay open to exciting, unusual, strange opportunities that might arise on the sidelines. Because when you're truly open, I forgot to mention this and it's coming through now, so thanks guides. Like ants have antenna, literally. And so you want to put your antenna out and kind of feel things out. There might be something over here, or up here. There's a new opportunity around you, but you have to stay aware. You got to get out of your head a little bit. So Wands reversed typically is just saying open up. The fact that it's a page reversed, all it's telling me is listen a little bit more, because that's about communication. It's not just what you say, it's about what you are picking up on. And pages are less verbal than swords, so I would say it's nonverbal. So focus on body language and maybe just something that hasn't yet been announced, but you kind of feel like intuitively, and that's going to be super key, right? I love what we see here in your near future. We have the King of Swords. Also, I love that we have every possible flying bird, insect, animal available here. We have like the owl, the crow, a bat, a butterfly, or a dragonfly, I should say. Very cool. So this is also showing multi-channel communication. So for those of you that are trying to get some sort of message out there, online, traditional media, I would say word of mouth, multiple ways of getting this message out there. So grassroots efforts are very important here too, far and wide, locally and globally. So spread the word. This is very world-like energy. And it's interesting because in the environment, what do we have? We have the world. So to me, this is broadcasting on all levels, and so is this. So don't be afraid to try something different. A lot of times, if I do a one-on-one coaching session with someone and we talk maybe about social media or something, they'll say, oh, I don't do that. I'm old-fashioned, or that doesn't work for me. I would say don't dismiss something until you've tried it. And you could be limiting your potential to find the right audience by not trying a different method or mode. And it's the same way as kind of like meditating or trying different things like yoga, or maybe a sort of martial art practice, or different types of exercise. Everything gives you a different aspect. So you should just kind of play around with all the different facets of the crystal here and really explore all of that. King of Swords, you should be writing, you should be talking, you should be communicating. That's where your power is this month. Open communication, clear communication. He's upright, he's not reversed. So this is someone who's able to even deliver bad news with great ease, with aplomb. So don't be afraid to say what you need to say. I feel like you're really in a good space this month. So use your communication skills. It'll serve you wisely. 10 of Cups. Many of you must be focusing on family or core relationships in your life, because 6 of Cups, 4 of Wands, and the 10 of Cups it's really bringing in nice relationship energy. So this is your ego. I feel like if you can enjoy your own company, something that I was talking about there, others will want to be around that too. So when you love yourself, when you trust yourself, when you feel good, you've noticed this in your own life. There's just certain individuals that they have their own light bulb, right? They're their own sun. They walk into the room and you just want to kind of be in that energy. So the more you can feel warm and light and bright, the more other people are going to want to, kind of like a sun, go into your orbit or orbit around you, I should say. So that's where your power is this month. If you're looking for love, it's looking good. If you're in love, it's also looking good. And if you are single but wondering how this could, maybe not looking, what I would say, this is a way for you to really connect. There's so many connective threads here between 4 of Wands, 6 of Cups, and the 10 of Cups. I would say if you're trying to launch a business, if you're trying to get ahead, if you're trying to make some friends. It's a really great time based on what I'm seeing here. What does it involve? You probably initiating the conversation. Remember, the last card that I talked about in my channeled messages was active, not passive. And this is a very active card. So I would say, even though he's kind of sitting there on the hill, I like that he's not on a throne. He's like at the top of the mountain, king of the mountain, right? This is still someone who would not be afraid to send out the initial message, hey, I want to talk, or hey, I'm interested in you, or let's do this, whatever it is. So he's confident enough that you would be interested to start the conversation. It's upright, by the way, as I'm looking at the 10 of Cups, so I don't really see negative connections. Sometimes when it's reversed, it's about people wanting too much about with your time and energy. This is I like the ribbon of light that we see, this beautiful rainbow of light here. The only thing that I would say is don't get wrapped up too much in other people's drama and issues. Remember to continue to focus on personal development, personal growth, because sometimes there's a really nurturing energy that you can provide, and that's what's coming through on this card, is sometimes getting lost in the role of mother, father, teacher, boss, friend, healer, nurse, doctor, etc. Some sort of a helping energy. So continue to take care of yourself. Remember, we had the strength message that I talked about earlier with the ant, so focus on your personal strength. All right, we have the World card in the environment. I'm super excited that this is here for you, like really excited for you, because this is a change card. And it means it's, well, the only thing that could be kind of discombobulating for you is that it may happen fast. So, you know, it's a synchronicity that I heard that little snippet from the Oprah interview, and it literally was like 2 minutes or 3 minutes. There was nothing much there. And I didn't really care about anything they were saying except her piece on manifestation. Just realize that if you think it, feel it, and really kind of send it out there into the universe, you're going to notice some quick manifestation happening for you this month. Think big and dream big. I'm going to talk about this in the collective at the end of the month. I think it was a Cancer reading that kind of brought this about the blank check, but we're going to bring that to the masses. But think about this. The universe has an unlimited amount of energy and funds and trust and faith in you. When you feel invested in what you can do, others want to invest in you. It works both ways. So if you believe it, some cool things could happen. It may require a change of location, a change of job, a change of status, whatever that means. For some of you, you might be getting married, you might be getting divorced, because this is a big change, but it's a good change, whatever it is. This is upright. There's nothing negative about it. But are you ready to make this big move? I was talking about doors opening. Sometimes, like if it's a big one, you have to really weigh out, like, can I afford to say no? Because even though you can open new ones, there are sometimes once in a lifetime opportunities. So some of you might be aligning to something like that, whether it's love or a job or a move or a big shift in your life. So I got an excited sort of energy when I felt that and looked at that card. So I think that it's worth exploring. Be the King of Swords. Ask a lot of questions. Talk to a lot of people. He's seemingly talking to everybody in the animal kingdom to get some feedback. So get diverse opinions. So unlike the ant colony, he's going to multiple sources. So I think that one of the things you want to really do is do your research, be discerning, and really get alternate and different points of view to help with that, right? Okay. We've got the 5 of Cups here in your hopes, fears, and opportunities. It's very close to the Magician card in illustration. Have you noticed that? The Magician is working with a well of energy, and the 5 of Cups is sort of like, I don't know. We see that some of the energy kind of spilling into the well, and it's sort of like, what am I going to do with this? What next? There's a contemplative energy here, but not a very focused one. What we see here in the background is she has sort of her own, it's like an Ace of Cups here, but there's all these other things that she's focused on. A lot of times it's lost opportunity. Usually I think it's 3 down, 2 up on the 5 of Cups. So sometimes we're looking at our batting average and it may not be what we want it to be. It's sort of like, I'm not exactly tracking in the way that I think I should. This has been difficult. This has been difficult. But what the universe is kind of knocking on your third eye and trying to say is, yeah, but have you seen what's happening here? And what about what we just put in front of you? That was just to help you learn. And you called in some of those experiences, including even the setbacks, because you were able to gain from that. Thank you so much. Welcome to the new channel member. So remember that you can do more than you've been maybe believe that you were capable of before. And this is really just a matter of, hello, we've got the high priestess at the end. Do I believe? Am I ready? Can I call this in? By the way, these are partner cards too. They don't always, you may not always read it as that, but like, just like the Emperor and the Empress can be, so can the Magician and the High Priestess. Very nice energy with this. You could be starting a really great, powerful partnership business, especially. And it could be like creative and production or whatever, but I like the synergy that I see between these two. Also, as aspects of your own personality, this is the ability to see it and do it. So I feel really good about what's being presented to you if you're willing to kind of tap into it. You have to believe. The High Priestess does, and she's in the outcome, so I hope you can. I hope you will. This is a healing card. This is a creative card, and it's a manifestation card, probably one of the best ones you can get. It's definitely something that you would see for people of psychic or intuitive ability. This card is healing. A lot of times this is sensitivity to energy, to feelings, to being able to channel. This one is clairvoyance. There's a slight difference between the two. One is feeling, one is seeing, but you put them together, and what you dream, what you can make something happen this month. I hope you do it. And realize that you could also be setting the seed that will grow maybe over the next year, because to me, the world is not only 1 year, but it's almost a couple. If you look at the number, it's 21. So it could be kind of like a year and a half, if you will, just shy of 2 years. So it often takes a while for the world to happen, but as it starts to happen, some massive things can change. So you could be on a 2-year cycle of change. The decision or the catalytic moment is going to happen pretty fast, and then you may see a little bit of a lull, but then things will start to pick up again. So I see a 2-year cycle reset for you. You don't have to do it on January. So for you, for whatever reason, it's sometime between March and April that this new cycle is starting. It's really nicely timed because we're very close to the equinox here. It's coming up quickly around the 20th or something, right? So that's sort of equal distance, or like this, basically both sides of the hemispheres are getting equal amounts of light. It's kind of cool. We're closer together during that period. So the energy is there. There's this nice sort of even energy that you can tap into. So I would say go for it. I like what I see. All right, let's go into the expanded forecast. We'll look at health, wealth, love, and destiny next. The health card, especially as I've been reading it over the past year, tends to be more energetic, and then I go into the cards for the physical. So let me do that today. We have Commander Ashbaugh here saying call to action. The card is reversed. So for some of you, there's this, it's kind of like when the chariot's reversed. There's a tug of war happening with respect to who gets to call the shots. And it's saying take charge, lead by example, walk your talk. And I like that. This is really about standing behind what you say and making sure that you demonstrate that on a day-to-day basis as well. With the reverse card here, it may be healthy, necessary, and yeah, that's enough. Healthy, necessary, and I would say also just, because in my head I kind of saw the justice card, for you to perhaps challenge authority. So if someone in your life doesn't understand what's going on, won't allow you to do what you should be doing, this card really is coming through to kind of say, hey, I'm here, I matter, and this is something that I stand behind. And I'm not going to accept no for an answer on this. For some of you, you may decide that it's time to move on after that, because that's why I saw a quick flash of justice in my head. Stand up for yourself. Let's look at the other cards here for other health messages. All right. This can come through if you want to receive something like a Reiki healing. It's energy work. So it can also be you working kind of like on yourself too. So if you want to practice yoga, if you want to try Reiki on yourself, if you've been attuned to it, or just do any sort of healing, absolutely, with the magician at the center, it's a good time for that. With Reiki in particular and different types of healing, since we're in social distancing right now and you can't really touch people, you can do that. You can have distance healing too. So that's something you can explore even in a pandemic. So that's good to remember. There may be for some of you, so I'm looking at the 10 of Cups here. The only thing that I would say, it looks like there's a celebration. I would just say be careful and try to moderate how much you go. When I look at 10 of Cups, 9 of Cups, 3 of Cups, sometimes there can be a little bit of going overboard. So I would just say take it easy when it comes to how far you go into anything, whether it's exercise, like a change in exercise, because most of these cards are positive. So if you've decided all of a sudden you're on a fitness sort of kick and you want to really take care of yourself, please do. We got the strength card, or not the strength card, but the strength message earlier. But just ease into it. If you've not been working out for a while, you don't want to sprain an ankle or trip or fall or anything. And same thing with diet. If you've been not eating so well, you don't want to change it overnight because it's going to be hard to stick with it. So give yourself time to adjust, I would say, with all of these things. And the King of Swords can be like this. I would just say speak up to your doctor. So if there's anything that's going on and you want questions, this is a very outspoken card, whether it's some sort of a surgery or some sort of a change. I think an open dialogue with the people that help make decisions with your health, that's going to be really important as well. Overall, I like it. And I like that we have a High Priestess card here showing that you can manifest the change that you want to. So trust your gut this month when it comes to health and the really overarching good stuff. But you are being called also to do something. So whatever it is that you feel you need to do, pay attention to that, make it happen. Let's look at wealth now. It says blessings are showering your life. We have rainbow blessings. The card is reversed. To me, this is something beautiful that happens after a period of difficulty. So if you've lost something, there's something better at the end of that rainbow. So a job, an opportunity, or even just like some sort of a rejection. It feels to me like there was a better conduit to bring that through. So the rainbow blessing is saying there's something good that's going to come out of something that felt a little challenging in your life. I mean, it's hard to find negative cards for you this month. So if I'm looking at wealth, I would say, again, 6 of Cups is showing me that your joy, your playful energy is really key. Your friendships from the past are going to be really key. The only thing that could be off is your timing a little bit. So work at that. And I believe that you're going to be able to successfully overcome any setbacks that you've had. You have one of the ultimate cards for communication, and you have one of the ultimate cards for distribution. So I believe that you can get things working this month. So all that is required here is speaking up and believing in yourself on some levels. So go for it. I like what I see. We didn't get any pentacles, did we? Interesting. So that goes to self-worth, which was what I was talking about earlier. I like to see at least one pentacle card. We'll see if it happens when we go into the soul path. If not, I'm going to ask why no pentacles. It's not bad. I mean, with the Magician and the High Priestess in the world and the 10 of Cups and the 6 of Cups and the 4 of Wands, I believe you can make anything happen. But don't forget to ask for what you should get in exchange for certain things. Don't give everything away is what I would say. Not because it's not good to be philanthropic, but usually people that are a philanthropist, they've made their money and then they choose to give it away. And people who, if you're a healer, you know this already, there's an exchange, an energetic exchange. So there should be something that comes back. Otherwise, you're like a battery that will just go onto empty. So make sure that there's some sort of an exchange and a recharge period going into all that happens this month with respect to wealth and opportunities. Okay. The next big message here is in relationships. And it was really interesting. I talked the other day about connecting to the ascended master of Christ or Jesus. Interesting thing with me, I'm cosmically spiritual. I was mentioning an experience. I think you can go into any sanctified house of worship and feel the energy. So you can go into a mosque, you can go into a church, you can go into a temple, you can go into an ashram, you can have your own little altar at home with incense and feel a connection to spirit. It's really about the intent and the sort of love that goes into that space, and it starts to energetically bless it. I had an experience that I talked about this just a couple days ago, where I looked at a picture of Jesus, and you can do this with Buddha. You can do it with any ascended master. You can even do it with old Egyptian gods and whatever. It's just different avatars. But I connected with this particular ascended master, and the important thing that I got with this, and this is how it's going to relate to you, was the throat. So a lot of people may think that you would kind of get it from the heart because we see the Sacred Heart as a symbol with this particular teacher. But I got with Jesus, it's the throat. So I would say for many of you, and of course, we're going to have to look at the mother-child energy with this, but looking at love, I would say the first thing is open communication. We got the King of Swords. So heck yeah, with that, I believe that it's time to speak your mind, trust what's going on, listen and speak. That's the only thing that I would say. A good way of communicating, it requires you to be quiet and to listen and to read verbal and nonverbal, because someone can say they're okay, but their body, their eyes, their energy is saying, help me, right? So you have to kind of read the subcontext of that, whatever's going on. So communication is probably the most important thing that I could highlight with your relationships. The other piece for some of you would be a chance to help a child in your life, help your inner child, or perhaps revisit a parent-child relationship, perhaps your own, maybe your parent, even if they're in spirit, or if you have a child and you're kind of separated or estranged from them, this is a chance to go back into that. And when you think of this particular teacher, it's unconditional love, right? Love. Love is the language of the universe, but especially this particular teacher. So find a way to kind of reconnect to loving without someone having to be something or say something or do something, truly without any conditional strings attached, because conditional love is the devil. Because basically always you see chains and strings. Unconditional energy would be something like this card, or the Lovers. If you ever look at the Lovers card and the Devil card, you wouldn't think there would be similarities, but they're almost identical. You have the happy couple chained together, not looking at each other, and there's this not so nice person behind them. So you go from an angel to, the devil. So what we want to do with this card in relationships is unconditionally love and accept those in our life, have open and transparent communication with those in our life that we love, and forgive ourselves first, and then try to forgive the other person. The power of forgiveness I talked about earlier this month. It's only effective if you feel it, believe it, and really kind of give it as a gift, not as an expectation that someone has to say, oh yeah, I accept your apology. So all of those things are part of that card. Unconditional love, communication, acceptance, transparency. For parents, if your child isn't something that you wanted them to be, you have to love and accept and celebrate their individuality. If you're a child and your parent didn't accept you, love yourself, accept yourself, celebrate the fact that you were strong enough to go your own path in your own way, and forgive your parent for not having the imagination to see you as something that you are, which is beautiful and wonderful. So when you start to kind of see them just as a grown-up kid that had their own flaws, then you start to forgive them. And that's really what we see with this. All a parent is this little boy grown up and trying to fake it and figuring out, like, am I doing it right? The older you get, the more you realize it's amazing that your parents did what they did. Or any teacher or any adult can kind of like do it, because once you're in your 20s, 30s, or 40s, you think, I don't know how I would be dealing with a parent, right? Or with a child in my life right now. So you have to sort of give them some credit and give them some, a little bit of leeway. There are some parents out there that just weren't ready for the job and probably did a bad job. But in this particular situation, you're doing amazing. And that's what you want to celebrate and release that kind of connection to the past. For other relationships, I would say just the important thing here is to work on the self-love, because I look at this card and it's the ultimate mirror, the Six of Cups. So if you love yourself and trust yourself and see yourself as worthy, then you're going to call that into your life. So love, forgive, trust, everything that you would see with this particular teacher, unconditional love and acceptance, right? Last thing that I'm going to say, though, is if you're looking at relationships this month, this is what you want to, as the high priestess, focus on. Are you looking for a lover or are you looking for a teacher? Jesus is a teacher. So are you looking for a lover or a teacher? I think partner, I would say. You would want a divine partner, not someone that's coming through to teach you more lessons. So work on yourself a little bit more, get to the place where you're ready, and then release the lessons or the need to have the lessons from another person, and that will help you out. A little bit of just a warning there that you want to continue the self-work here. The final card is destiny. And as we talked about with the catalyst, you're the controller of your own destiny. So this is really just a trajectory card. And it says, be fearless and stand strong. So I like that. And this is what I was talking about earlier, where you could be like the queen ant, right? You could be maybe the well, we have like the fighters here. I would say the King of Swords can be something else, but this is like the warrior. This could be like the drone. You can be everything. So you don't have to sort of like put yourself in any category. If you are able to do a lot of different things, do it. And that's what highly successful people are capable of doing. A lot of times you'll know, you can look at an artist, Joni Mitchell pops into my head, where she'll paint the covers to her albums. She writes the music, she sings the music. There's no reason you can't do multiple things. A lot of times there are actors that are capable of directing that can do other things. Sometimes they sing as well. So when we look at like the arts, it's normal for people to be able to dabble in more than one thing. Same thing in our own lives. You're not just a mother. You're not just a father. You're not just an architect. You're not just a mathematician. Mathematicians can understand beauty because math is the language of the universe, actually. Also, math and love. Everything is mathematical and everything is love, I would say, because they kind of govern. I think if there was a higher society out there that we were communicating with, if we could show that we understood math and music and love, they would think this is an awesome race of people. I want to connect with them. Whatever the human beings are, that they seem to understand things. So there you go. I'm on a tirade, but let's go back into a summary of everything that we talked about. I want to be cognizant of time, and we'll get into the soul path because I want to make sure that we have enough time to get into that. All right, so we talked about ants. That's your spirit totem this month. One of the things I forgot to mention, and I'll try to put it in the summary, was to use your spiritual antenna to sort of sense things out this month. Very important piece. Strength was the first thing that I thought about. You have the capacity to deal with things that would surprise you and surprise others. Let that maybe be something that you can use to your advantage, kind of coming in at a place where people didn't expect it. I mentioned timing before. Sometimes the surprise element can be good. So it's just figuring out when and if to be sort of the person that surprises. You have both emotional and physical strength. They're going to be really important this month to trust and to lean on. Those are key themes that you want to really develop. Have faith in yourself, push onward, surprise yourself and others. And we have 2 cards that really help with those kinds of manifestations here with the High Priestess and the Magician. Your capability to work with others is key, but you might have to step out and lead. Are you ready to lead? That's what the card is asking. Only you can answer. Ants often struggle when they leave the colony, but I think that sometimes this is just about fear because we are humans, we're not ants. It's just a feeling of sort of having to spread your wings a little bit, right? Success, growth, and independence are major themes as well this month. They're going to be important to the next quarter. And we saw that here with the World card. That's your growth. That's your expansion, right? Resist peer and social pressures. It's not only time, I would say it's okay to be different. And when we think of really important people in history, they typically don't sort of fit into the status quo. They are their own person. So stand out and stand up. Ants are sometimes stuck in roles. We talked about that, whether it's the worker ant or the fighter, the warrior, etc., or the queen ant. You can basically do your own thing, and you can wear multiple hats. You are the magician, which is capable. It has one of every suit in its sort of card, so you can do everything you set your mind to. Meet the vibration or the frequency. Meet the vibration and frequency of your goal, and then just trust it. You will start to manifest once you feel like, I can do this, I will do this. It's going to happen, but I'm not going to fixate it on it every day. I've got other things to do. And then the universe will say, hey, guess what? We're ready for you now. Focus on security, but more important, focus on your sense of confidence and your own sort of like security within yourself. This is going to be really important to pushing away lower frequency people that are coming through and just not able to handle what's coming. Let me recap here. Sorry, I was looking at some people leaving. You should stick around because we have another piece coming. So with the self-confidence and self-esteem, if you are opening up a crack, what will happen sometimes is people are going to find a way through that crack and they're going to take advantage of you. So what you want to do in this case is feel good about yourself, feel strong about yourself, and really stand up for what matters. Love your own company. Don't always rush or try to distract yourself with music, with social endeavors, etc. Spend a little bit of time. I get a lot of questions about how can I be good at meditation? Just be quiet and see and feel what comes through. Even if it's a lot of noise, you'll start to figure out like, well, why am I thinking about that? And being with yourself is important. You have to love yourself first and foremost. When you stop wanting or needing others, they start to come rushing through and come into your life, and typically they're higher frequency as well. That's why we don't spend the whole time looking at love here. Release the need to be perfect. As long as you're growing, you're exactly where you need to be. For those of you that are artists or really always feel like it has to be 100% perfect, at a certain point, you've done the best you can do. You can let it go, and you have to focus on the next thing, or you never move. You sort of stagnate. Relationships are mirrors. Use what you need to see and learn from those relationships to grow. And as you start to grow, then those relationships start to change, oftentimes improving, sometimes falling away. That's actually a healthy piece, so don't feel bad if that happens. And finally, you are the architect. So if a door closes, create a new one. Don't wait for someone else to open it for you. You always have the capacity to make something wonderful happen in your life. Destiny, in that same vein, is something that you control. So choose what you want to do. Don't wait for something to happen to you. And fight for what matters in your life. Many of you are being called to speak up, to act accordingly. So this can be a very, very exciting time for you. Quickly moving through the cards at the center, we have Six of Cups. Knowing yourself, trusting yourself, loving yourself, and accepting the old version of yourself. Bringing back that sort of youthful energy. Also realizing that you might be meeting someone that changes your life this month with the Six of Cups, the Four of Wands, and the World. This is a very high energy. And this is someone that you should be able to say anything to or do anything with. I didn't mention before, and this is why it's kind of good to stick around for the review. We have the King of Swords, which could be a strong air sign that's stepping into your life. It could also just indicate that you're making that first move to bring them in. We also have the Page of Wands energy, but this is more realizing, or this is more representing your thought process because it's in the crowning position. So keep an open mind to new relationships, new opportunities. Keep an open mind to your own capacity to do things. Be open to what other people need and want, because that receptivity, just like the antenna or the antlers on the ant, are going to help you find your right timing. Don't be afraid to break through old boundaries or old roles, because people are going to accept you if you're willing and ready to step into something new. A big change is happening, but it's going to happen fast. So you're not going to have as much time to maybe consider it. Between now and that time, really decide on what you want. And when this happens, think, yep, I'm ready because I know it. Know yourself, know your desires, manifest. You're going to be able to do it quickly because we have the Magician and the High Priestess here. Focus less on what's happened, more on what's possible, and really realize that your thoughts are calling actively things into existence this month. Health. You might be just feeling like you need to make a change, so do it. But remember that you want to do it one step at a time, nothing too radical. Some of you might want to move, change of job, change of career, change of living situation, change of status. There's a lot of shifts that could be happening in your life. Mostly, I saw most of these cards as being very advantageous, actually. I'm not seeing a lot of negative things coming through. I would just say for health, focus on not going to extremes and ask questions. Speak up if you need to. With wealth, we have rainbow blessings. So if it's been challenging, if you've had some loss, which the Five of Cups indicates, this is showing that there's something better on the horizon, but you have to be able to look at it. You have to be willing to go into the energy of it. That something wonderful could also, we see this rainbow blessing here, be coming to you from a friend, a family member, or someone that's close to you. We didn't see any pentacles, so ask for what you need in this life. If there's something, and this month in particular, so if you're not getting paid enough, if you're not getting respected, if there's something that you need, ask for that abundance and trust, because of the Four of Wands, the Six of Cups, and the Ten of Cups, you're going to find a way to get people behind what you're asking for. The Christ Flame card is coming through here to really talk about the inner child, parent-child relationships in your life. Also not feeling like you have to play the role of mentor for someone unless you want to. Really trying to get both people on the same level, because Jesus is a teacher too. And key relationships, hopefully, unless it really is a teacher or mentorship one, a love relationship, you should be more balanced and more on the same plane, basically. So call in a divine partner, not a teacher. But just remember, unconditional love is the key to kind of making everything work this month. Then we have the Warrior card. So fight for what it is that you need. You don't have to just fight for the sake of fighting. This is someone who just is standing up, strong. You understand by looking at them that they mean business. So I want you to do the same. If you're ready for something, be fearless, be strong, be ready to go after that. Let's go into the soul path now, and let's look at some things here. I want to understand relationships overall, but before we do that, let's look at pentacles, because we didn't get any, so I just remembered that. So pentacles. What is the message around worth and compensation this month? Resources in general. Why don't we see any pentacles? Five of Wands. Okay, the Five of Wands in reverse. This is really interesting because there was before I hopped online here, I was Googling about ants. One of the things that they can do is make a living bridge. So they can actually stretch out, and if there's a distance between 2 points, they actually will create a living bridge of ants to get across to the other side. So for some of us, we get lost in that bridge, right? Sometimes, and I think what you could try to do this month is to stand out from the crowd. This is where the individuality was coming through, and make sure that people see the contribution, because if you let go, everything falls apart, right? I've talked before about sometimes not working so hard that you don't sort of show people the exhaustion that you have, or the need maybe for additional help to kind of come through. So let people see how much you matter, whether that means a sick day, whether that means putting together sort of like a report of the work that you've done and showing that, and then asking for more compensation. In relationships, it's about not carrying the entire load yourself. You can only be the bridge for so long. You're going to need a rest occasionally. So I'm looking at this, and that's what I'm seeing. Let me see if I can pull the picture up while I'm talking about that, but hopefully that resonates. The other thing with the Five of Wands is sometimes we forget why we're doing something. It's sort of like we get into a habit, or we get into a sort of structure, and we think it's always got to be this way, but it doesn't. Sometimes you're very much able to kind of like transcend from that. So I don't think I can get this picture right now, but maybe I'll put a tweet up later and put in living bridge ants. Yeah, it's not going to come up right now. So I will put this up a little bit later, but I'm telling you that you have the capacity. Sorry, I just threw my cover down. You have the capacity to bridge some gaps in your life. People need to be able to see your capacity to really step in and make things happen. So you want to kind of like pop out of the crowd here a little bit. Don't get lost, and I think that's key. All right, so let's go on to the next card, and let's take a look at the relationships, because that was the next thing that I'm curious about. Six of Cups, Four of Wands, and the 10 of Cups. Why so much with relationships, and how do you fit into this equation? We have the Hanged Man. All right, this is interesting. So for some of you, I feel like there's this, you've been waiting. And sometimes when we wait that long, there's a question like, will it ever come? Why is this happening? Why isn't it happening sooner? And I would say one of the key things that you have to do here is to trust yourself, and trust in the divine timing, and let go. With the Hanged Man, this is more of this is a beautiful kind of acrobatic version of it. But I would say when you're willing to just sort of let go of holding on, hanging on, hoping for, even getting a little bit angry about why something is taking so long, then all of a sudden, it's easy. I think that if you really have a divine partnership, it should come through with such a sense of ease that you don't have to work for it. It's not like playing games. I remember when I was still shopping around my book, and I was trying to find an agent. It was a big agency too. It was like William Morris Endeavor, but the person wouldn't get back to me. She was traveling around everywhere, and I was talking to her assistant. She said, well, it's just a waiting game now. And I said, I ruined the opportunity. I said, no, it's not a game. You're either interested or you're not. So let me know. And she said, we're not interested. I was like, thank you. That allows me to move on. And it's a lot better to you don't leave me hanging. And I think sometimes you have to be willing to accept what you receive. I already knew the answer was no, because I'm intuitive, but I kind of wanted to hear it. I was like, no, it's not a waiting game. If you're interested, you're interested. If you're not, you're not. And I would do the same if I was dating someone. If they're like, oh, I'm not sure, I was like, no, that's enough. That's cool. I know that we're not at the right time right now. So it freed me up to pursue other things. Sometimes you have to release yourself from that connection. And for those of you that are writers, you know that it's a very codependent sort of relationship out there, which is why I decided not to have an agent and not to have a publisher, because they don't really advocate for you and they're not that interested in you. So what we see here is this warrior card. You have to do it on your own sometimes, because they only want something that they know is an absolute success. They're not willing to bank on opportunity. So if there's something that you feel or breathe or need enough in your life, specifically when it comes to a relationship, you might be better on your own, or you might be better to kind of push and get the answer that you need so that you could meet something better, meet a better relationship. Because that's what we see here, is someone who truly loves and wants to be with you and wants to celebrate what it is you have to offer. So that relationship could be a partner that you're married to. It could also be a business partner, which I was just talking about. So that partnership should be divine. It should be equal, and there should be no game playing. And that's what I saw with the Hangman. No one should keep you hanging on, basically. Now let's do a wild card for the future. The Death card and Rebirth. My favorite Death card because it shows that energy of being a portal, which we talked about. So I really like the energy of transformation enough that I actually put it in my book, actually. So to me, like, death is basically the death and rebirth. I believe that angel kind of works with us as we come into the body and as we leave the body. And it also comes to us in various points of our life where we're ready to step in a situation and out of a situation. So really focus on the rebirth part of this, which is creative, which is empowering, which is saying, I am not defined by one thing or the loss of one thing, whether that one thing is a job, a person that you love, a relationship status. Sometimes becoming married, you think like, am I going to lose myself? No, you're just going to become something more than you were before. And if you get out of a relationship and you lose that person, or you change your name, you're like, who am I now? You're still you. You're always you. And this is really just asking you, what do you want to do with the experience? What do you see next? So every stop is a start too. And when you're in that, sometimes when you're in that cell, it feels like, that's why I was getting the metaphor of like breaking through a wall, because there's still something on the other side. Maybe you've just built those walls up. Past couple of days, I've been listening for some reason to, like, I think this song is Fortress Around My Heart by Sting. And it's about building up all of this sort of like the blocks, and you have to kind of break it down too. So I feel like this is a time to break down those blocks and break down those walls. Okay. So I really like what I see here. Even though I couldn't pull the image up, you can Google it. There's a living bridge for the ants where they work together, but I would say sometimes you can get lost in that. So your important sort of piece is, how can you bubble up what you're doing? And are you holding up too much? Are the other people working as hard as you? This requires teamwork. You can't be the only one that's doing the work. So this is actually the money card that I was looking at. It feels like you're an important link, but you're being maybe taken for granted. So show how much you're doing in one way, shape, or form, either verbally or by stepping back and letting the other people hold the load for a little bit. They'll miss you and they'll call you back. With this card, you don't have to wait for anybody. No game playing. So if someone's not calling or texting you, they're sending you a message, I'm not interested in you. And you can just let it go and decide what next. How can I use that potential rejection to recreate something and become stronger, and then have them look back and think, well, that wasn't a wise call, was it? So the best way to sort of like overcome this is just to be really happy, really successful, heal yourself, and release that energy of that other person. I haven't thought about that agent for a long time. So I'm glad to. Sometimes there's just people, they're blocks. I realized one important thing that I've talked about before, but I want to highlight before we get into the next phase of this reading, is that when you hit a block and someone says, I don't want to be with you. Someone says, I'm not interested in what you have to offer. I'm sorry, we passed and we went for somebody else, like a job interview. It's also a blessing from the divine. Your guides are up there saying, no, not this one. When you push and push and push, sometimes you can break through and get in there, but you'll realize later, ooh, this wasn't what I thought it was. So be grateful for the rejections and the setbacks, because they're guiding you, even in a not so fun way, towards something that's going to be better. whether it's on your own or in this beautiful rainbow ribbon 10 of cups energy where it's like, oh my God, this person really does want to celebrate, support, and be with me, not to test me, not to push me, not to play games with me. No, someone who's really there loving and cherishing and partnering up with me. So whether it's work, whether it's love, whatever it is, you deserve that. You deserve the 10 of cups ribbon of energy, right? And yes, I like what, I can't see the whole name here, but rejection is divine protection. Absolutely. So let me talk about what we're going to do next. We're going to, 2 parts. I'm going to do a quick meditation. And while I'm doing this, I don't answer questions in real time here, but what you can do is think about what it is that you want to solve in your life right now. What's holding you back? Maybe it's one of these 3 things in the soul path because they seem pretty big. Are people paying attention to you and giving you the abundance and resources that you need? Is someone kind of leaving you hanging? And are you worried about taking that next step into creation, which is really what we see with death and rebirth or transformation? What's the thing that's going on that's kind of like I need a little bit more, Nicholas? Think about it. Think about your question. And as we meditate, I'll tune into it as well. And then I'm going to pull an extra card at the end and I'll give you some guidance on your personal question. So it's the closest I can give you to asking questions here, but it's something that I'm adding in so that you can get a little bit more back. So I like the King of the Mountain here. I really like the King of Swords that we see here. And I would like to imagine that we're at that top of the hill. It's kind of like The Sound of Music, where you see Julie Andrews up at the top in where is she? Austria, right? So just imagine that you're in these beautiful green hills. If you don't want to be in a mountain, if you're afraid of heights, just see yourself at the top of a beautiful green hill. See beautiful flowers, see nature all around you, and open up to receiving, because we're going to kind of send out our antenna, our ant antenna. I want you to be open to receiving whatever you need to get to be stronger, more empowered, and more successful, because we got a lot of kind of like fighter cards here. We've got the King of the Mountain here, the King of Swords. We have the Warrior card. And then we also have this Commander card here, Commander Ashbaugh, Call to Action. So I see a lot of capability for you to fight and do things. And then we have a very loving, but also very strong energy here with Jesus as well. So lots of divine energy, lots of strong energy. So let's find that inner strength and let's find the call to action or the call to whatever it is you're trying to do. And we'll meditate. And then I'm going to pull a card and answer your question. Okay. See yourself on the top of the mountain. Actually, I'll put a little bit of meditation behind this, but see yourself on the top of the mountain, allowing the sun to shine through your heart center and just melt into your body. And that's all. Just receive the solar energy as we focus on this beautiful singing bowl. And then I'll paint a little bit more of a picture before we get into the final card. As I was playing the singing bowl, the message that I received was, remember who you are, remember how far you've come, and remember why you started this in the first place, why you were set on this path. Remember, I kept hearing remember, remember, remember. As you sit atop of this mountain, I want you to take a look at where you came from. Imagine that you could look over your shoulder. Remember all of the difficult things that you've been through and the fact that you're still here, you're standing tall. Look in front of you at all of the opportunities that still await. And the fact that you're at the top of this hill tells me that, or the top of this mountain, that you can actually get to the next side without having to work as much. It should be easier now. Let's set that message into the universe. Like, I'm ready for it to be easier. Let's let the next quarter of the year be a little less difficult. Help me see and trust the intuition that flows through me. Help me accept the guidance that I receive, and help me welcome in synchronicities because of the wonderful divine energy coming through the magician and the high priestess. I remember who I am. I remember my worth, and I celebrate it. And I'm ready for things to be easier. Take a deep breath. Rub your hands together, feel the warmth, the light, the energy that you've been accumulating as you allow the sun to enter into your heart. Seal that space off with an intention and a promise to yourself that you're going to make it easier, that you're going to be active, that you're going to take on all of these active cards that we saw. Gently open your eyes when you're ready, and let's take a look at your final card for today, the final piece of guidance, the final word, if you will. Think one more time what it is you want me to look at, what your question is. Just hold it in your head. You don't have to type it. All right, Seven of Swords, interesting card. The card is reversed, so it's a little bit better here. The Seven of Swords really is about being accountable and honest with yourself. So I feel like you've already integrated that lesson. But if there's anyone in your life that is not showing up the way that they should, if they said they were going to come through for something, whether it was like, yes, I'm going to pick you up, or yes, we're going to do this, or yes, you can trust me, and then they at the last minute canceled. No more of that. If there's something that you've been putting off doing in your life, this is saying no more procrastination. If there's someone in your past, because we looked at the parent-child messages with the Six of Cups and the Jesus card and all of that, if there's someone in your life who didn't come through the way that you needed or expected them, particularly mother, father, or teacher, this is also showing that that wasn't fair, that wasn't right, but you're going to be strong enough to fight and to move past this. So this is really looking at accountability and transparency and the way that you can be successful in the next few weeks here as you kind of integrate the message of Seven of Swords reversed is thinking to yourself, I have boundaries. I have the ability to say no to things, and I'm going to hold firm to my sort of internal compass. If I don't feel like I need to do it, I won't. If I feel like I need to do it, I will. If other people in my life don't accept that, that's them, not me. I'm going to be honest, transparent, accountable. And this is the same sort of things that I expect from other people. Honest, transparent, and accountable. If you meditate on those and incorporate those into your life, Seven of Swords will just kind of like flutter away. Last thing, I'm looking at this crow. Sometimes people can't help themselves. They just say things to get under your skin. If someone in your life is this crow cawing here, sometimes that's sort of like if you're in a really successful moment in your life and all of a sudden someone has to say something nasty. It's just them trying to get in under your skin. And if there's somebody that constantly has to sort of just put like, what is it? It's kind of like the rubbing salt in the wounds or whatever. That is on them. That is a habit that they have. And I would really kind of pull back from that. You're always going to have this random crow out there somewhere. I love crows, and that was one of the spirit totems. Not that crow, though. That's the one that's just driving you crazy and is just kind of like nagging at you. So if there's someone or something and they're acting like that, it's sort of like enough now, and let it go. Okay. Let's wrap up everything. Just a quick reminder again that, like I said, I'm going to have a collective reading on the 28th. I forgot to mention ways to stay connected here because I needed to get into that message. If you liked what you saw here today, the easiest thing that you can do is just to like and subscribe. I occasionally will do impromptu readings. I do it more frequently on my Instagram, but you always want to sort of be aware of that. So if you haven't already done it, hit the like and subscribe button, and you can opt into notifications. The reason that all of the sort of creators on YouTube will talk about this is it helps with discoverability. So when you do that, other people can find it. So it's a great way to show support, and it doesn't cost anything. Even though it says subscribe, it's just basically following. I'd love for you to follow me on social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok even, Goodreads. On these three, on Facebook, Instagram and YouTube, I will use the story features. I can actually put links on Instagram and on my official Facebook page. And that's a great way, like on a day like today, where you're like, what time is it? When is it? You can click on it, go straight to YouTube. So great way to get reminders outside of the system here. If you want to find out more about my book, you can do it here. I'll put some other links in a second. Twitter is the only one that's a different handle because they don't allow as many characters. So it's just Ashbaugh. And I always tweet out what I'm going to be reading that day. Membership is something that's cool here. You notice people with green text. Anyone that wants to join, you can click the join button. And it's a great way that you can basically give back, allow me to continue to buy new cards here. And you can start and stop it at any point. And even if you basically leave for a while, you get to keep the little emoji that you had and come back. So it's cool. There's an applaud feature that you can use on replay on desktop and Android. And you can still do super chat while we're talking. All of these things help create a little bit more abundance in my life. My website will give another way if you want to do PayPal. I can't do the direct link to it anymore, but you can click there and there's buttons that will allow you to do a one-time contribution if you'd like. Patreon as well. By the way, I just want to say thank you for all the people that do that, because a lot of times folks will say, hey, I am a patron and I am a member, so thank you. I see you come through every time and I appreciate what you're doing. If you want one other way to give back that actually you can get something from, it's my book. It's called The Luminous Ones. I have it in paperback and hardcover as well as ebook. It's available internationally. There's you can read the first chapter for free if you get a digital version. And there's a synopsis on my website, and it's basically a sci-fi fantasy, but it's along the realm of Lord of the Rings or Dune. So it's a little bit of a read. It's not for everybody, but if you're into that and you want a different way to support me, you can look at that. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for showing up today. Really magical reading. Some great messages that came through. It looks like for you, some really positive movements this month. Please, please, please connect with your network, with all of those networking cards, 4 of Wands, 6 of Cups, 10 of Cups, and the World. Just use your mouth, the King of Swords, really to kind of like activate this network, because I feel like some great stuff can happen for you. All right. Take care. I will be back again tomorrow for Libra. I hope you can join me if that's in your chart, or if you just want to come in for the messages and the meditation, you're more than welcome. Take care, everybody. Much love and light. Thanks again to Maria and Dakota for helping out today, and have a fantastic weekend and a fantastic month ahead. Take care. Thanks again. Bye-bye.